So we're at the end of the second Central American Space Congress, and I'm joined here by NASA robotics engineer Andres Mora, but you're also part of the team.
That's right. Thank you for having me, Remco. It's a pleasure to have you here, and everybody watching this. We're already thinking of 2025, and hopefully you'll be part of this as well.
Excellent, but let's talk about 2024
Okay, sure.
before we talk about 2025.
I'm already excited. I'm that excited about all the energy that we got here in the 2024 that we're ready to go on to
This one
2025.
ended like 10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago, and I'm already thinking about
We've
2025.
already moved to the next
That's
step.
right.
It's good that there's no year here, so it's
That's
kind
right.
of relevant. Let's talk about Central America in space,
Yes.
because that's the reason why we're here, why this conference exists. What do you see as the key opportunities and challenges in space for Central American countries?
I think that we have a lot of opportunities. And if anything, this Congress is showing us that we have over 400, and I say, well, over 450 people back into this idea. That we have the capabilities, we have the facilities, we have the know-how to do this. And it's not only engineering, but it is all the spectrum of careers out there that are requiring this in the field. Specifically in Central America, I think that our realities are a little bit different from those in Europe or maybe North America because of budgetary rationales, right? However, we have found ways to make it there, so much so that we have had the first Costa Rican satellite, then we have Morazan, Quetzal 1, and many other people have come by themselves, getting together, doing all this work. So I guess that our opportunities are that we have all these, not only students, but also startups already doing taking their first steps. Their challenges will be like anywhere else, I will say, at a different scale, financial problems perhaps, but the education, the capabilities, and the same gray matter that everyone else in the world has, we have it here as well.
Well, that's what we're seeing here in the excitement of, half of the participants were students, more or less,
57, as a matter of fact.
57%. And we see the excitement that they are showcasing in becoming part of this bigger space economy, this global space economy, but also in projects like Quetzal 2 that's
Right.
being developed right now.
That's right.
All these
All these projects, all
basic
these programs,
level,
right?
from
The
the ground
fundamentals,
up.
yeah.
Yeah,
These
exactly.
grassroots efforts are the ones that are defining the region, and I think in conversations with other people, they are very, I guess I will venture to say surprised and impressed. I will say that there is no formal per se in the sense of agency, a space agency has been traditionally made, and it's been all grassroots efforts that have been put in there so that we can actually take those countries into space, and it's essentially become slowly but surely emerging nations in this regard.
Exactly. Grassroots is a key word. But what is the role of this conference in particular in the development of space in the Central American region?
That's a great question. So we have a vision where we want to. This whole idea started by seeing that there was a group of people that were very interested in this, but they didn't have a venue where to talk, where to share. I started talking to our colleagues over the organizing team, and we decided that this is a great opportunity, certainly with a lot of challenges. And so we started to work together, and in order to set up a forum in which we could provide the means so that not only incredible rock stars like the people that we had as keynote speakers and panel speakers coming all the way from, say, Japan or Egypt or anywhere else in the world to here to your doorstep and talk to them. That's what we wanted to do, to bring. So if, what is the saying goes, if Muhammad doesn't go to the mountain, let's bring the mountain to Muhammad. So that's one of the things that we wanted to do with this. Facilitate that access, bring it, because again, we were just talking about challenges. Certainly, financial challenges are that students cannot attend all the time international conferences at great cost.
Yep.
And we're trying to bring that cost all the way down at the very minimum that we can possibly do this activity.
And it's great to see you were able to offer so many scholarships for
Oh,
students
absolutely.
to attend.
Yes.
That probably helps. Yeah, let's hold this. It's becoming a bit windy. Why do you think is a conference like CEC needed now? I mean, we're in the second edition. This started in 2023. This is relatively new, but why is the time right?
The time is right because the people have told us that is right. We have seen a group of, or again, last year we had just over 400 people. This year we have already more than 450 people. So we're essentially going up in the, okay, we're getting to know each other. There's a community that is building up. There's a lot of people that didn't come from the first edition to this edition. So that means that even though they're not the same, the community is growing. And so what is telling us that it is a good time to do this now is the students, is the businesses that they do see an incredible untapped market here in the region, so that they can move on and say, hey, maybe we should look into this area of the world, and which is equally important as any other. And that is from a business perspective. Then from academic perspective, you can already tell that there are students and professors that are already talking about how do we do collaborations. And then we have legislation and and people that are interested in saying and paying attention to this, because the general public say, hey, how is it that we are using Waze or Google Maps on a daily basis, and we have all these people from all over the world coming to our doorstep, and we are not having the laws that push towards the investments that we want, so that we can be part of that market.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
And that's probably not just the case here in Latin America. That's probably a more global thing. But,
It is. Yes, certainly.
but now is the time for
No, it is the time.
a region like Central America to pick up those opportunities and to benefit from that.
Certainly.
Excellent. Have you seen any spin-offs, or do you see any spin-offs from this conference? What are the key spin-offs that you're seeing?
I guess that since we're just in the very early stage, I mean, we are starting right on.
Yeah.
We're on our second edition, and we're already excited for the third one. We don't know if there are going to be many, but we will welcome them. We have seen webinars coming up, and smaller workshops from smaller regions or in smaller communities in a specific field. So those things are the type of outcomes that we hope that we can empower.
Looking at the first edition, the second edition, what have you learned as a committee? And perhaps this is too early also, but what can you improve? Why will the third edition be even better than the first and the second one?
Oh, well, it is interesting because for the first edition, we were not expecting more than say 50 people, but by the first week or so that we opened registration, already 100 people sign up, and we had this idea that we were going to make a single track, and so right there and then we already was like, oh wow, we have to pivot onto a different program that will be simultaneous sessions and whatnot. So we have learned on the go as we go, as any other new endeavor, and we are trying to bring more the commercial side, so that they do feel and understand better this ecosystem that exists, and people really have the need for monitoring flooding or climate change or infrastructure, and combining that with in situ monitoring as well. I mean, there's a huge possibility here in the region, not only in Central America, but the whole Latin America. We're trying to become that focal point where it becomes a one-stop shop, like Luis usually says, in that you come here and everybody who wants to be in the space sector should come here.
That's a good point, what you mentioned. I was triggered. There seems to be a lot of focus on upstream technology, on technology development, on hardware.
Right.
Whereas maybe in other regions of the world, but there's no reason why that shouldn't be the same here. It's much easier, the entry barriers to do stuff in downstream are maybe much better.
That's right.
So why do we see this focus on technology here?
The focus on technology here is because we have been inspired, I guess, traditionally by all the work that NASA and other agencies have done in the past, right? And so we want to become that. That's our superhero, right? And so looking at that, what is, unconsciously you can think of, all right, what are the things that these agencies are doing? And certainly is all technical. And so I can see people from Costa Rica working on rovers or simulators of regolith, or how to create regolith out of different materials. And it's just blown my mind how these people actually come up to think about this, and it is very interesting. I was chairing a session about where they were talking about the tribolic effect in generation, so that they could do and put this in Mars. And they had already decided of the very best place so that they can do it based on the different characteristics of that area, of the entire. And this is coming from Peru. And I'm like, well, how is this like, you're right? And so, how is this not possible anywhere else but here? We want this to happen here. And so that they are excited that they are able to do the technical studies, the technical development all in their place, but they also need to get a little bit of guidance. And that's what we're trying to do here at CEC.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait to see
Yeah.
how that progresses into the third edition, which is definitely going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're definitely looking forward to the third edition, fourth, fifth, let's say 2050. Let's see where we go.
Exactly. This is only the beginning. It was
This
said
is only the beginning.
on the first day of the conference. This is the start. This
That's
is el inicio,
That's right.
and that is really important to realize. And I'm very proud to be witness
Absolutely.
of the start of Central America as one of the leading space areas, regions of many in the world.
I hope that that is going to be the case very soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Andres, for
Absolutely.
the interview.
Thank you.
And good luck on the next edition. And
And I hope to have you there.
thank you very much.